afternoon, everyone. That music tells us we are ready to get started. So if we can have a seat, we have quite a few items on today's agenda, so we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Zoning Board of Appeals meeting September 20th, 2023 to order. Please, if we could stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Item 3, do we have anybody up on the panel here that might see a conflict of interest with any one of the items we have on today's agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll keep on going. Item 4, approval of the Board of Appeals minutes from August 16th, 2023.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Do I hear any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Minutes from the last month's meeting pass. Thank you. Item number 5. We have a variance application by Kenneth and Carolyn Taylor to construct a 6-foot-high privacy fence and accessory structure on a property without a primary structure use located in a parcel 592811114441 located on Washington Court. We have those folks here today. If you wouldn't mind stepping up to the podium, please let us know what we're doing here today.
Okay, I'm Joe Clark with Legacy Architecture.
And Kenneth Taylor.
Okay, thank you. All right, what can we do for you today?
Well, we're asking the board to commit or to consider a variance to be able to establish that fence along that the west property line. The Taylors purchased that property with the hopes of combining it with their current parcel just to the east, being able to fence it in. There's a lot of activity in that parking lot that they would like to get some privacy and separation from. But since that property falls within a city TIF district, they're not able to combine the parcels without going through a lot of extra cost and legal work to be able to make that combination happen. If they had been able to combine it, the fence would have been allowed by rights. But since they can't combine the property, technically they're not supposed to build a fence without a primary structure there first, since the fence is accessory to that structure. So the request is to allow the fence before a residential unit gets established on the property. They are looking to hopefully do that in the future. We included some of the options that they're considering in the package that was submitted. But for the time being, they would like to be able to put up the fence now. And Dr. Taylor can talk a little to some of the issues that they're facing because of that parking lot next door.
Please.
Yes, so we've had quite a bit of activity, as he mentioned, some of which has been illegal. We've had arrests on the parking lot. We find paraphernalia, garbage on the parking lot. We're unable to secure that area of the parking lot. We have people joyriding in the parking lot, particularly when it snows, because there's excess snow there because the snow is pushed into that area of the parking lot. We also have children that play in that parking lot near the drug paraphernalia and things that are scattered across the lot. And you'll see that, the arrest that was there was from a person that was there that without our consent trespassing that we were unable to secure, hence the hardship and hence the request.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, do we have any questions, comments, or anything from the panel?
What does the city suggest?
Hang on, we'll get Marcus real quick.
I was going to ask the same thing,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
but I'm not.
Sorry,
Oh, okay.
Staff at this point is neutral. It's up to the board to decide.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as was here for this particular item. Okay. No? Okay. So we have a motion to approve and a second. And no further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. You're all set. Thank you. Item number 6, we have variance application by John Justinger to construct a 12-foot by 16-foot or 192 square foot storage shed with an attached 12-foot by 16-foot, 192 square foot roof overhang located at 3824 North 29th Street. Sir, what can we do for you?
Well, first of all, my name is John Justiner. I'm the person who put the application in for the storage shed. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're combining a storage shed and a gazebo, which gives the overhang portion of it, which will prevent a few things. There's a picture of it on the screen showing basically the rendition of what we are proposing to build, which is a 192 square foot structure for the storage shed. Code allows you up to 200 square feet, and that would just give the overhang to it, so you'd have a little recreational area, which is like a gazebo, combining both units together. Inside that storage shed, there'll be electricity just for plugging in your laptops and cell phones and miscellaneous stuff like that. Obviously, there'll be some shaded area for, on the other side, which will be to the south of that structure for windy weather, rainy conditions, stuff like that. Inside the packet that you guys received, it kind of shows a little bit of some of the stuff that they're putting outside right now, which are the riding lawnmowers, because it's a bigger lot, and there's just no room inside the storage in the garages that they do have for their cars for the riding lawnmowers, which is one of the pictures that you'll see in your packet. Oh, it's up there, okay. And that just kind of cleans up the backyard a little bit from all the debris that's out there. There's some other pictures showing you. Now that one picture, if you go back, shows a garage that's about a block and a half away that we just constructed. So it'll be similar construction of that caliber, I'll call it, just to give you a rough idea what it would look like. Obviously not to that size or building size or shape, a two-car garage that is, but it'll be somewhere similar to that structure. Materials to match the existing structure that's on the lot at this present time. It also, there's a wood pile that's in the back that is the neighbor's, that it'll kind of shield a little bit. It's a shed, but it's a natural fencing area that'll kind of shield that a little bit from the neighbors and that. There's a big tree in the backyard that we're trying not to tear down in the order of building it, so we're building it a little bit off to the side a little bit. So we're trying to keep the nature of the lot itself there, which is that big tree in the middle. It's kind of hard to see, but it's in the middle there. Obviously, the shed, you can store your lawn chairs, your bicycles, miscellaneous yard equipment that'll be utilized for that area as well. Any questions with the board to me, or?
Is it going to be vinyl siding then?
Yeah, there'll be vinyl siding to match the house in kind of like a beige area.
Okay, anybody else have any? Yes, Marcus?
Can we get staff's position on why this needs a variance and can't be built?
The reason for the variance request is the accessory structures can only be 200 square feet. They're basically taking two allowed separate structures, they want to combine them together to make one larger structure. If they were building these as two separate buildings, it would be allowed. They just want to combine them. So now I have one large roof that's approximately 400 square feet.
So what's the percentage of the yard? Like, because they're supposed to be within that certain percent.
So, yeah, within 40%, they are way under. It's
yeah,
a
'cause it's
huge,
a big
yeah,
lot.
that yard is like 15,000 square feet, something like that.
Okay.
It's huge.
So it's not gonna look awkward
No.
or anything like that, it'll
No.
fit.
I'd make a motion to approve.
All right, so we have a
I'll
motion
second.
to approve, and we have a second. Do we have any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Neighbors, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Someone's waiting.
Please excuse me. Yes, if there's some folks here that are here to speak on behalf or maybe against this project, please step up to the podium.
I'm Tom Lavin. I live directly behind, well, not directly behind, but close to, I'd be to your north of it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't have an issue with having a storage shed, so to say, like most of the sheds in the area are, 10 by 10, 10 by 12, okay, but, and I wouldn't have an issue with that, but I'd rather not have this, it would look like a full-size garage in my backyard, 5 feet off my property line. And so like I say, I've got no problem. I personally would like a storage shed myself, but I really do not want to have this big garage in my backyard. And one other issue I'd have is there was a number of trees that were cut down. It'd be on the north side of this duplex. And I don't know what the intentions were long-term, but would there be a driveway coming off of 29th Street going back to this?
No, just to address that issue, first of all, the trees that were existing there, they were the dead trees from the ash that was planted with the whole city of Sheboygan. So those were taken down just so nothing would fall over and hit the house and destruct that. The stumps are still there. There's no driveway going back to that shed. It's just grassy area, and those stumps are going to, I guess, just stay there for now. So there's no intention of driveway going back that way. It's a storage shed. It's only 16 by 12 feet. It's not a garage.
Okay, well, on one side there would be a garage and the other side
Well,
kind of a
one side is
lean-to.
the shed,
Right.
which is 16 by 12,
Right,
and the other side would just be the gazebo area,
which is another 16 by 12.
which is allowed by code.
Right. But,
Okay.
but I guess my feelings, I don't have a problem with a storage shed, okay? But I'd rather not have this large structure, 5 feet off my rear lot line.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Before we move on, can I ask
Yep.
a question of
Absolutely.
our staff for the presentation of where they're planning to put that structure? Is it within the designated or allowable area on that property?
Correct, it's gonna meet setback requirements.
It will meet setback requirements, okay. Is there room to move it slightly farther off the lot line?
Yes, I mean, they could move it, I guess, it's,
If that's a concern, we can definitely move it over a little bit. We're just trying to,
Is there a garage on the property already?
inside the,
Sir, I'm sorry, if you wouldn't mind, we're on camera, so we gotta, yeah.
no problem. Inside it's a duplex there.
Oh,
There's
one on each
two
side.
small garages in the middle.
Middle,
But they're
okay.
not of size or anything like that.
Okay.
All right, do we have anybody else here for this particular item that would like to speak? No? Okay, does anything that we heard after that, does it change the motion that we have for either of you? Do you think?
I have a few questions for the
Sure.
neighbor about some of his objections.
Sure, yeah, sir, yeah, he's gonna direct some questions at you, sir, if you wouldn't mind stepping up there. Yep, Tom? Yep, thank you.
Is the size a deal breaker? Does it matter where it is on the property? Or is it anywhere on the property, a structure of that size would be problematic?
I guess if it wasn't that close to my property, I could live with it. I mean, obviously, I'd like it on the other end of that property, but I wouldn't want that on my neighbors either. I don't know what their feelings are, but I guess if it was moved further to the east, I guess I could live with that. Because right now, it's kind of right up to my
It's in the
rear
corner
lot
of
line. Right.
It's in the corner of the lot. That's why planned it to be out of everybody's way.
Would its current location remain a problem if the size were different?
Excuse me?
If it were a smaller structure, but in the same location, would that change your feelings on it?
Well, like I said before, I could live with a storage shed. I have no problem with that. It's a 10 by 12, whatever you're allowed. Preferably a little bit further away from my property line, but I could live with that. But I just really wouldn't care to have this, it's basically a full-size garage. One side would be, one stall garage and then the lean-to on the other side. But, I think it would just look out of place, that big of a structure there.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the
Thank you.
questions I have.
Oh, yes, sir.
My name is Steve Krieger. I live directly, I'd be in back of you, west. West. And the only thing that I can think of, other than what Tom mentioned about the possibility of having a driveway coming through there, which you said there won't be, that would be a problem for me. But also, the structure has what is being termed as a gazebo on one side, and that's basically for entertaining.
I wouldn't say entertaining, it's more or less a shelter just so you could sit outside and be prevented from the sun beating on you and stuff like that.
Okay. What I'm getting at is if they're entertaining and there's parties, it's 5 feet off of Tom's lot line, disturbing. It's a rather quiet neighborhood right now. And I don't know if that would happen, but if it does, that would be very disturbing, I think, to several of the neighbors back there, so.
I can speak a little bit to that as far as setback requirements. For accessory structures, gazebos, sheds, greenhouses, those types of things, setbacks in that property would be a 5-foot setback from either the rear property line or the side property line. So he does meet the setback requirements. So, he could literally have a 12 by 16 storage shed, and then 2 feet over, he could build a 12 by 16 gazebo, and that would be allowed.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay,
Could
thank you.
the applicant step up, please?
Sure, yep, sir, if you could step back up to the podium, we got some more questions for you.
No problem.
Your question?
Are you going to be doing any sort of landscaping to possibly hide the structure?
Well, there were just some planting of shrubs and the existing trees that we had to remove because of the ash disease that came about. We try to replant a couple of those in that area, but there's no parties or anything like that going on. It's a quiet neighborhood. It's always been that
Sure.
way. And I intend to keep it that way. I have no intentions on
Sure.
anything.
But sometimes it's not always what you're planning on doing it to it.
Yeah,
It has to
you're
do
limited
sometimes.
to
Yeah.
what you can or cannot do.
Sure. I just didn't know if maybe planting of some sort of trees or bushes in the back side of that or on the side of it might kind of, I guess, give the neighbors a
Well, he
little
has
bit
his
something to
logs
look at.
planted up right there, right on the property line. That would kind of shield that view from me, rather than me staring at his logs.
Sure,
So it does kind of
sure.
serve a dual function.
Yep, okay.
Okay. Oh,
Ask another question. Just of the group.
yep, okay, sure, yep, while she's walking, go ahead.
Is there a hardship at play beyond the, obvious desire for a larger structure?
That's a question for the applicant.
Okay, we can get back to that one in a
Yeah,
second then, okay.
we can bring him back up. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Beth Corton, I'm just a neutral observer in this, but just listening to this case reminds me of another, of a relative who had someone build a bigger structure in her backyard, so to speak, that she could see, but then they installed a dawn to dusk yard light. So there was no longer a black, dark night. So I just want to comment about that. Does Sheboygan have rules on these yard lights? So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Any issues or challenges with dawn to dusk kind of lighting? I'm guessing your question would be, so it's
I mean,
not
the
just
thing is,
blasting
you
out.
have to look at the subject, you have to look, he can, if he wants, according to the city, he can build a garage structure and he can build a gazebo. He's allowed.
Correct.
He's just asking to put them together.
Yeah.
That's, instead of having everybody look at two different things in the backyard, he's just asking for one to be kind of put away. But technically, I mean, if he wants, he can do that and make it separate. So he's really just asking us if he can combine them or not,
You
correct?
could put them a foot apart.
He could put them 2 inches apart.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Okay, so did you want him to come back up about the hardship?
Yeah.
Well, But I don't,
I think that would be-
but I'm not really sure if there's a hardship involved in this particular case, because if he could build 2 separate,
No, I agree with that. I just want to make sure that it's clear for myself.
yep.
Just if there's a hardship or anything that you are attempting to circumvent by combining the two structures, or is the size of the structure out of you?
Yeah.
That's your preference for it.
I'm building the structure less than the code requires. It's 200 square feet. It'll only be 192.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
okay, so here we are, yes. Marcus? I don't know, yeah, do we have to turn him?
Yep. Thank you.
There you go.
So I have one last request of the applicant. I would ask that if we approve this, that you consider moving it farther away from the minimum required setback.
Okay?
And that's my only comment.
I'll
Thank
work
you.
with Jeff on that. Thank you.
All right, very good, okay.
Motion still stands.
So, yeah, so, okay, so we still have a motion to approve and a second. Did we want to maybe amend that to shift it, or no? No, okay, so right now we have the motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, it's important that when you're doing these structures, to be also thinking of your neighbors, Neighbors look out for each other, so just keep that in mind, that
Thank you very much.
when it's approved, be also always thinking of your neighbors.
I will, thank you.
All right, very good. All right, so we have the motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. Oh,
I just have one more concern, this is a duplex, and I've been there since 1993, and I've seen a number of people come and go out of this duplex. I'm looking down the road, okay, because there's some good neighbors I've had, and there's some questionable neighbors that I've had. I don't know, what's gonna happen a year from now, 5 years from now. It's quiet, but there's been some other issues. Is this gonna be used at all for any business purposes? Okay. There's no motor vehicles, just lawnmowers going into this?
Just lawnmowers, yeah. Basically yard equipment, mowers, bicycles.
Okay.
I think we've already established the fact that if he were to build these 2 structures independent from one another, he would be allowed to do it. So that doesn't change what could happen in a year from now or 2 years from now. You could still have noisy you can still have lights. He's technically allowed to build 2 separate structures of this nature. He's just combining the 2, so I don't know if that's going to change. If you were to put 2 of the separate structures up, would that change anything that you're asking?
Because I already have the other duplex to the north of his. There's already one storage shed there. Now I'm gonna have a double one not far from there. So where do you draw the line? I mean, it's just,
But they're allowed to, sir.
Yeah.
They're allowed to build that on, as well as you can build one on your property too. They're allowed to do that. He's just asking if he can combine them.
yeah.
So it's not, so you're not looking out your window and you're not looking at the lawnmowers that are sitting out there. And you're not looking at a gazebo separate from a shed. I live in an area as well. Every time I look out my window, there's a shed, there's a shed, there's a shed, I don't have a shed in my yard, but I can build one if I want. I understand it, and I think he's willing to work with you to a certain point in combining those 2 instead of you looking out, seeing a building, where he's trying to combine those 2. But he's able to build it. He can build it separate, but he can build it.
As far as working with me, I mean, how does, I mean,
Well, you,
like when we leave here today,
sure,
if it is approved, he could pretty much do exactly, put it right where he's got it staked out right now.
It's
Sure.
his property.
So he wouldn't have to work with me.
no.
Okay.
Because he's in the building codes, and he can build it as is, if he chose to build them separately. And literally can build them an inch apart.
Yeah.
So we could say, no, he can't combine them, and he can build them an inch apart and still have them.
And that you would allow that.
Well, it's not that I would allow that. He is allowed,
Right.
as an owner, to do that. He's just asking if he can combine them instead of having space between them be together. That's all he's asking. And to me, I'm asking you, do you want one structure or two?
I wouldn't mind.
I understand you don't want any.
No, I
understand you don't want any.
I can live with a structure, okay, and I can thoroughly understand that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? You know, a 10 by 12, 12 by 12, whatever, doesn't require a variance, okay? But this is twice that size.
But the reason why he needs the variance is because he's combining them together.
Right. But if you want a gazebo or shelter, you could put that up by the house, that wouldn't be a problem. Then I wouldn't have this massive structure there.
So you'd rather have two than one?
I'd rather, if the other one was up by the house, if you have a deck off the back of the house.
Okay?
I have a deck off the back of my house. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with a storage shed, okay? And if there was a need for other recreational, like a gazebo, you could put that up close to the house, or a deck off the back of the house, I wouldn't have a problem with that. My problem is this massive structure that's being built 5 feet off the back of my property line. It's basically a double garage. One side's got a door, and the other side's exposed, but it's still the same physical size as a double garage.
Okay. I appreciate your opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have the motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for that one. Item number 7, we have a variance application by Beachgrass Family Trust to construct an approximate 16-foot by 26-foot, or 416 square foot home addition that does not meet side yard setback requirements located at 616 Georgia Avenue. We have the folks here for this one.
Yeah, I'm John Golubski. I'm the builder, so I'm kind of representing the Beachgrass Trust.
Okay?
So
Go ahead and let us know what the project is here, and we'll take a look at it.
it's just doing a small addition off the back of the house, but it's only a 40-foot lot, so the existing house is, I got the survey there. I believe it's 3.5 feet off the one lot line and 8.5 off the other. So we just want to continue that existing footprint, 16 foot deeper into the yard.
Okay? Do we have any questions?
City recommendation.
Marcus?
City recommendation, as usual. May we have the recommendation from the city on this?
The city is neutral on this, the staff is neutral. The reason for the request, the total of the 2 side yard setbacks for this zoning has to be 15 feet. The current house, when we total the 2 sides, we have 13'6". So the addition they're looking to do, they would, if they were to bump one of those walls in 1'6", they could construct this addition. They would just have a little dog leg in that wall.
Oh, but it
So
looks better to
basically,
make it square.
They just want to maintain the existing footprint of the home, so we don't have that little offset in a wall.
Right.
Follow-up question, is the deck that I see proposed here currently existing, or is that allowed within whatever the rules are?
The deck is allowed.
The deck, okay.
That's not part of the variance request.
What's the material that the exterior of the walls are going to be? Matching the existing house, or?
Yes, vinyl, it's yellow vinyl siding. We're just
Okay.
gonna try to match that.
There you go. Any other questions or comments on this?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve in a second. Do we have any further discussion? Do we have anybody here in the group that's here for this particular item? Well, we have some folks back here. Okay, so we're gonna hold the motion to approve in a second. Folks, if somebody wants to come up and say something up to the podium? No objections to it? Okay, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Crystal Giannopoulos, and I own the property right next to it. The way our houses are situated, they're long, narrow lots, and ours is on one end and theirs is on the other. I could foresee at some point in time, either of us wanting to use that land or extending our homes. They're both really small. So I'm not against it or for it. I'm here more because I'm just curious how it would change the space between their property and our property. There isn't an existing fence or anything. It's just open near their home. And so I guess my question was, it was kind of hard to see on the sketch how much space currently there is between their home and our lot line, because I'm new also. I just purchased the house next door last month. So I'm
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 8, we have a variance application by Ken Ebbers to construct a parking pad next to future garage off of the alleyway. Parking pad will have a 1-foot setback from side property line located at 825 Leland Avenue. Yes, sir.
Ken Ebbers, I'm building a new garage. We'll be starting in October. I'm looking to add 4 feet, put a parking structure next to the garage for off-street parking, and go off the property line. 2 reasons. One, my neighbor's garage across the alley is 1 foot off my property line. So I have to move my garage, actually turn it 180 and move it to the west side. So when I would back in, it would give me more room to park the vehicle, plus also get out without either walking on the grass or opening into the sidewall of the garage. Second reason is in the wintertime, I live on one block, been here 30 years. Every time we have a snow emergency or a snowfall, city comes through, they plow, they turn around and plow again. Don't see anybody for 2 to 3 days unless I call. So the one half of the street that everybody's not parked on is clear, but the other side has windrows. So I'm trying to do my part, keep the road more clear, not have to call and bug the city about coming to replow the road again. So just give myself a little more extra space so I don't run into the neighbor's garage. My wife doesn't run into the neighbor's garage. That's kind of why I'm asking for make it 4 feet bigger. So
That is on the record, by the way, just so you know.
She already knows. So I'm already, no, she's not here. I'm already fighting her on this garage, so it's okay. I want a big garage. She wants a small garage.
Just let her pick what side she gets, she'll be happy.
We're not gonna go there. So that's the reason for the variance. Just give me a little more extra parking space off street, so.
Very good. Marcus?
Can we hear from staff on what is allowed and what is requested and their recommendation?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Staff, again, is neutral on this one. It's, setbacks are 3 foot for concrete. The existing structure was at that 1 foot mark originally. So.
Is this a situation where adding a lip would be appropriate or not? Or a curb, something to keep the water runoff from the neighbor?
So there is, in a case like this, there is at least 12 inches of green space to help with the water.
Okay.
But that is always a concern to make sure that when you're pouring concrete, that you're not creating a water hazard to the neighbor.
Correct, I would have it pitched towards the alley.
Yep.
I wouldn't have it pitched sloped towards the west, I would have it pitched towards the alley so the water runs down the alley.
Okay. Do we have anybody here in the audience for this particular item? No? Okay, very good.
I'll take it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve in a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
These are slam dunks.
Item number 9, we have a variance application by Rachel Kohler to construct a shoreline revetment, stairways, hardscape, and buried storage shed located within 75 feet of the ordinary high water mark located at 120 Volrath Boulevard. Good afternoon.
Hi there. My name is Rachel Kohler. I recently inherited this property. Actually, I think I do own it now. It was filed yesterday with the city, so it's contrary to what we put in the original application. But we are planning to do some improvements to the property, ideally with your approval, that really enhance access, safe access, and the enjoyment of our property. I've employed a great team here, so I've gotten a lot of counsel on how best to do this work. And, I think there's not a lot of examples of private lakeshore ownership here. So to be super conservative, we wanted to make sure we did it right. So the revetment is really work that some of our neighbors have done in the past, but we have not. But taking advantage of the low water situation there at the lake seems to be a good time to do this. I am now 60 years old and need to have safe access down there, so applying for a safe stairway, a small boathouse. I have 3 children that like to kayak and paddleboard, so we'd like to have a very unobtrusive way to store those items because getting them down the hill is a little treacherous. And then lastly, a little retaining wall area near that boathouse. And I think you have all the drawings prepared by Roger Miller and his scientists and designers, as well as Mike Beck has done the landscaping review, and Tim Kleiber would do the construction.
Okay. Any questions?
You know the question I'm going to ask.
You got it.
What's staff's recommendation on this?
Staff is neutral on this.
Staff recommends the revetment on the shoreline there, neutral on the rest of it.
Do we have to have any concerns on DNR and minimum setbacks on the structure?
Our ordinance, this property and the area that you're seeing where the work is being done, that is in a lakeshore overlay and a steep slope overlay district where we have 75-foot setbacks, and that's the reason why we have the ordinance, or the variance, or requiring the variance.
So
That's what, I think why we're applying for the variance, right?
So if we approve this, then she can build that structure closer than the minimum setback to the water line.
I believe so.
Yeah, Roger.
They're trying to record.
Oh, was I supposed to press something?
No. A permit is required for the revetment. No permit is required by DNR within the city because city has the jurisdiction. But as we explained in the application letter, the state allows boathouses meeting certain criteria. This falls well within. So it's all of the things that are asked for are the kinds of things that are specifically and automatically allowed in the many dozens of other municipalities and townships and counties that we work. Sheboygan is unique in that we have so little private ownership of the lakeshore. So it's simply a matter that hasn't been really even need to be addressed by ordinance. But these same kinds of things I've designed on much larger scales for the city's public works. And with lack of continuity with Steve Sokolowski's history, and with Liz Majerus's arrival, it was appropriate for the city to take a very conservative and rigorous examination of the ordinance as written, because as the ordinance as written for both shoreland and steep slope, no one is allowed to do anything of any kind because it says those shall remain in their natural conditions, which means you couldn't even do landscaping or maintenance. So we have our only hardship really is these are normal property uses, and the only hardship is for lack of these normal uses being treated in city ordinance.
Thank you. I've got a follow-up question.
Does Roger need to answer it, or?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
You've got a crew, so
I know,
you might be able to take your
you
pick
can,
here.
by his answer, you understand why, I think.
So there's a path down there that seems to be more of a public access path. Is there going to be any impact to that at all?
Well, the public is accessing the beach area now because there's so much beach. Then there is sort of a path to nowhere that is up on a raised kind of bank. It really does go nowhere. It dead ends at the property next to me. I'm not sure why or how the path was created. This is a vacation home, so we're not there, all the time. I would assume we'd grass it over and still have it be some type of path, but we don't actually use that path. So I don't really have enough familiarity of why it ever existed.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody in the audience here that's here for this, that's outside? Oh, we have a couple folks. Okay, so we'll go ahead and, before we do anything further, we'll go ahead and.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm Ben. I'm next door to Rachel, and she's done a great job with that property. I have permission to use a set of stairs from Janet Ross, who is behind me. And those stairs have not been well maintained lately, and Rachel's going to put some new stairs in, and I'm hoping that she'll allow me to use her stairs.
It's a neighborhood stairway.
Yes. So
If you
this
say
is an
it's okay, she
opportunity
does
for
it.
me
Sure,
to
she'll
talk.
let you.
Rachel's hard to get a hold of, so I thought I would come here. And, so anyway, other than that, I have to say, though, I want you to be aware, Rachel, that the beach has gotten wider, and I have to say there are people down there these days, lately, that can, by first appearance, could be questionable. We have a number of beer cans down there. We have characters that are a bit of characters, and that's just my judgment. I mean, you can have your own judgment on that, but I just want you to be aware of that for your own safety and not make your property so gorgeous that they want to come onto your property.
Yeah, I think just to address that point, we have dismantled the sort of homeless shelters that were built on the beach, and are trying to understand the dynamics around wanting to be a friendly neighbor, but also not wanting to invite, people who don't have sort of the best interests of the neighborhood.
I know. I've met a few, and of course, I usually communicate with everyone down there, and certainly all of you. Some of those who I have met are certainly like, whoa, but that's my judgment. They might think the same of me. I don't know, but. Other than that, I have no problem with anything that Rachel does. I mean, the place has never looked better. I want you to know that.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else, ma'am?
My neighbor showed up.
Hello, my name is Carla Ross. I'm the neighbor to the north. I was born and raised in Sheboygan. My guess on the path is that when my father put the boulders, the revetment down, he's the one who did the first. I think it just created a stop. And then, as Rachel said, there's a path there, then it just ends. There's not official, it's just created, deer, people, I don't know. I will also like to add to the concern about what I will call the riffraff on the beach. I went to high school here, and I was part of that riffraff. I mean, it's a beach. It's a beautiful community. It's where the kids go to get away from their parents, and it's always been like that. The type of riffraff and what they're doing down there changes, but it's not something new. It's not something that I feel she's going to encourage. And frankly, if she's there a little more often, that might be good. I know my mother will tell you that she's lost several patio chairs because the kids had to take it down to the beach.
Not my kids.
No, not your kids. The other kids. I think a couple things that are important, and I think I heard someone, I didn't hear everyone very clearly, but the revetment part is really important, and not just for her, but I think for the city. I don't know what the legal issues are for other homeowners who are on the lake, who the city or the county owns the property. But over my years of living there, I mean, the water level comes and goes, and you just don't know. And, my father went overboard, but it's worked. Nature has a way of making it work, and I think at first it looked terrible. It's like, who's throwing these? But it works now, and right now the beach is beautiful. It used to be even deeper, but you don't know, and you don't. So I think I applaud her for that idea. The stairs, I use the lousy ones. I'd be happy to use the nicer ones. And then the other piece, I know there's the letter of the 75-foot. That seems to be consistent on lots of water. She is the property owner down there. She's not putting up a huge home, gazebo, anything. I think it's very quiet, very modest, very appropriate, and I have no problem. And I have signed letters appropriately to that fact. So I just wanted to, especially the riffraff comment, I wanted to address that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I think we made it here too.
I just have a question about the material the boathouse is going to be made out of.
Yeah, so it would be concrete with a stone veneer on top of it. Is it, you've pronounced Bushel? I don't remember how to pronounce their name. What is it?
Okay, I was wondering what that picture was for.
Yeah, and the color is Kohler Heritage. It's the stone that was used on like Whistling Straits and matches the stone that's used on the property.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve as presented?
All right, so we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Motion to approve in a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you, everyone. Next meeting, is a reminder, October 18th, 2023, same place, same time. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.